individual, and right now we have big brands that are out there, isn't it? It's as simple as that. You start by something that you are cooking at home and you make a whole industry out of it. The biryani industry that is there. That's the specific example I'm giving you guys right now because you have gone through it at one point or the other. So the topic for today is IP management, and more specifically IP management and making strategies for intellectual properties that are there for startups. Now I'll tell you how I'm going to go about this particular workshop that is there. First thing, how it started, how it is related to government, what are the government initiatives that are there. Then I will be specifically dealing with how do you manage, what are the strategies, what are the things that you should keep in mind when you are having a particular intellectual property. More specifically, if I talk about pointing out to certain government initiatives that are taken by government in relation to the intellectual property rights that are there. Now, you guys tell me, how many of you have played the game of bingo when you were in school? Everyone has played the game of bingo? Everyone knows how it is played? Yes. So, if you have any page or any copies with you, just draw a box, write when this particular game of bingo is. We are going to look into the relationship of IP with startups, and I'm going to specifically point out certain areas where the relation is very prominent. Now, if you have heard this thing or heard that term ever in your life, so let's consider if first thing I'm telling you is brand. So, if you have heard about how brands, intellectual property and startup are related, you have to cut the number 1. And whoever is making bingo by the end of it, congratulations, you are already way ahead. So, we'll start with this. Everyone ready? Okay, so the first point is brand protection. When we talk about intellectual properties, what we are talking about is brand protection that is out there. Unless and until you are not getting a trademark for your particular intellectual property, how are you going to get it protected? Let's consider if I have to go to Charminar and someone has informed me there is a very famous shop for pearls that is out there. I go to Charminar, I find 10 shops with very similar names that are there. Now, I don't know which one is the authentic one. I would be going to each shop, having a bad experience or maybe a good experience and then coming out. If I'm lucky enough, I would have a good experience. If I'm not, I might end up buying something that I don't want to. However, let's consider if this person would have registered that particular name, that is the brand protection, the intellectual property protection that is there, it would have helped out the consumers as well to allocate what they want out of a particular shop or what they want particularly or particular product that is out there. So have you heard about brand protection when you talk about intellectual properties? So you can cut number 1. Next is licensing. We have heard about licensing, intellectual property. If I am creating a particular intellectual property, it's not necessary that I would be using it. I can give it as license to other individuals and those individuals can make the product further ahead. Let's consider I have come up with a medicine, so a particular pharmaceutical product that is there. Not necessarily if I am a scientist, I would be making that medicine. I would be giving a license for that medicine to other companies and those companies would be making that particular medicine. So even I think so licensing everyone would have heard at one point or the other whenever they talk about intellectual properties. The next is infringement. The third is infringement. Very obvious one again, that whenever we talk about intellectual property, of course there is a scope of infringement that someone might be making a pirated product of what you are making. So of course infringement is also related to the same. Next is IP portfolio. Have we heard about IP portfolio? Have we heard about it? Anyone? So like normally if we make a CV for ourselves, companies make a CV for the intellectual properties that are out there. A company might not be having only a single intellectual property, they might be having a patent, they might be having number of trademarks. So they make a particular portfolio for the same so that it can help out not only them but with the people with whom they are going to have a business relationship as well. So for that purpose, IP portfolios are made. The next term is commercialization. Again, this you would have heard at one point or the other. Why do you Why are you putting so much effort into an intellectual property? To get economic benefits out of it. So the next part, which is very essential, is how do you commercialize these intellectual properties? If you are unaware about how to commercialize the same, of course there's no point. I can have 10 different patents under my name, but I won't be able to get any benefit out of it if I'm not able to commercialize my product that is out there. So it is essential for a startup to also understand how to commercialize it. The next is exclusive rights. Again, this is again a term which you guys would have heard at one point or the other, that intellectual properties are exclusive right of the owner that is out there. So I am a person, I would be having the exclusive right for the same. NDA, non-disclosure agreement. We have heard about this. NDAs, non-disclosure agreement. With whom do you go for NDAs? Who are asked to sign NDA? Any guesses, students? Who normally who would be asked to sign an NDA? Management, employees, key management people. Even the employees can be asked. Confidential agreements that are there, isn't it? So this is important in order to protect your intellectual property. I might be working for my university right now. I might be developing a particular patent in my university right now, but let's consider after 2 years I'm leaving that place. I might disclose all that information as to how that patent is made to a next university that is there. So that's why NDAs, when you are having a commercial relationship with any other venture capital or any other place that is there, you sign an NDA, or otherwise you have confidential clauses within your employment agreements that are there. Next is technology transfer. Have we heard technology transfer and companies being related to each other? So I'll give you an example. Everyone knows which company is Tata. Everyone knows Tata. Now, in last few years, they have basically occupied or basically have gained rights over which Jaguar and if I talk about what Land Rover. Now, if you see what Tata earlier used to make versus the cars that they are making right now, you'll see a huge amount of difference. There is a certain amount of luxury that you see in Tata cars right now as compared to when we talk about Tata Sumo. And right now you see Tata Nexus, let's consider. There's a huge amount of difference as to how these cars are made. This is technology transfer. They basically occupied those two companies, gained the knowledge from the intellectual property they were using, and now they are transferring it to the Indian brand that is there. So there is a huge amount of technology transfer that take place whenever we are talking about two companies coming together as a collaboration or one